Following on from our last loft insulation scam story, this one's a spray foam tailor woe. Now this one's in court at the moment. We won't mention the company or individuals involved. We're just sharing this so you can understand the risks, and we'll update you on the case when the legal process is finished. So here's what Thomas had to say.
So back in 2023, I reached out to my energy company to try and see if there's any help and support, as my bills had quadrupled in price. I then reached out to a company who installed spray foam. It was the first I've ever heard about it. It promised to cut my energy bills right in half. They were offering a £1,500 voucher when they came round to give me my quote. They weren't long pricing it all up, and the massive turning point was it was going to be £4,100, and this was the point of, oh my, I haven't got that kind of money. As I'm a one-bed house, I thought £1,500 would be enough to cover it, and that's literally how it started.
To be clear, what were they going to do? Spray your loft?
They sprayed all four walls of the loft. The non-bitumen felt, which caused condensation. After 13 months, there was condensation, and it rocked the side of my house. 8 months into the installation, I had black mould coming in from like one side of the house. I didn't really understand it. I went to speak up with some specialists, like my energy company, to find out why it was happening, and they said, oh, it's a normal thing to happen. So I kind of brushed it off, waited a month or two and thought, you know what, no, this isn't normal. Not everyone should be living in black mould. And I got a couple of roofers out and some builders out just to see if they could just come look around my house, find out if there's anything. My kitchen's quite cold as well, so I was just trying to find out the solution. All four of the builders and roofers that came in, I allowed them to go in my loft, and I've never seen a Tom and Jerry moment where their eyes popped open when they put their head in that one.
What was it? Mould, condensation? What had you got up there?
There was about 3,000 flies stuck to the insulation. They covered all ventilation gaps, so there was absolutely zero space for my roof to breathe. There was no condensation risk that was done before this spray foam. There was no fire risk done before this. They said on my warranty pack that I have a fire alarm. I can confirm I don't. It was that kind of small detail that I wasn't also privy to signing this contract. They came out with an iPad. I was shown a Grand Designs video. It was almost like their unique selling point.
Naturally, you went back to them?
Yep, in January last year, to basically ask them to come out. Basically, I wanted to know the truth and what they could do to resolve it. They unfortunately declined everything.
Would you say they declined? What, they refused to come out, or what?
They came out with a bit of friction. I provided some dates, and then they gave me a date that wasn't on the date that I asked for. So from that, it was just like, oh, this definitely not right. And that was when I started to go to citizen advice to get some support and listen to someone that kind of knew what they were talking about.
You didn't ask a local authority building inspector to come out and look at it at that point, did you?
No, it wasn't until the roof was taken off by the scaffolding company that I hired and roofing company that I had to pay £12,000 to get the lot kind of sorted.
Did they put a tin lid over your roof? Is that what they did? They put a canopy over it to keep it dry while they were doing the work?
No.
Okay.
They took 2-3 months to get it sorted. It was from April till June last year.
So they stripped it all off. Basically, they got rid of all your foam.
They threw the tiles all on the floor because the foam was so badly stuck to the tiles that it was like playing with a child's birthday cake with the insulation and the felt and the tiles. It was horrible.
I can understand it would cost them more money to try and clean those tiles up than it would to just renew them with new tiles,
Yeah.
All the time this was going on, what did they have to say about this?
From the recommendations from Citizen Advice, they basically were so supportive. I literally went to a branch where I sat down with the ladies and talked over it. They said, it's now, you need to take them to court now. You've done all you need to do. You've done your pre-action protocol. You've asked for a refund as it's provided none of the services that were promised. They said it's time to go to court. I then had to pay £900 to take to court on January this year. I was told to pay another £620 for me to be listened to, and that was to literally go to court. I was in court for 2 minutes and I was told to go out. So what's happened is they liquidized the company. They no longer basically they emailed the court and said, we're not coming out. We're not going to represent anyone in court. We're not paying solicitor. We've got no money, so we're not coming. So the court honoured me to go back, change that name to
The director,
director, who has also got 5 other companies open and live and active, and he's director for all 5 companies. On the 8th of January last month, he transferred an Interco loan of £1.1 million into his other company.
Right, so he moved it into another company, thereby there are no assets left. Was that because he knew you were going after him and he thought he's got to bail out?
Yes, he tried to, at every point throughout this court process and following the court order, they summoned a court draft order to the court telling them to basically long it out until April next year. And I just thought this is a tax avoidance thing. That was what I had in my head. The good thing is the courts helped me out. I've done my research. That transaction of 1.1 million was on the 8th of January. And on the 14th of January was when they liquidized the company. And I believe it was about the 19th of January that they emailed myself in the court and said, this is, we are no longer active.
So they really cut and ran, very quickly as a result of what you were doing. And what did the court say about this? Because I'm assuming this is not a criminal court. This is a small claims court type idea, isn't it? Yeah. Let's just recap on that. You spent £12,000 on scaffolding and builders and to get the roof stripped.
Yes, and also was advised by Sister's advice due to the amount of mould that I provided on the photos, that to strip all carpet out of my house due to mould spores being present. I literally did that too, which was about $3,000.
So you chuck the carpets away. So we're looking at $15,000 there. I'm sorry to load this pain on you, but I think people need to know exactly. You probably suffered all the pain already. It's probably
that I took to court was £26,000.
Oh goodness me! Is that including you trying to get your £4,100 back from them as well?
Yes.
So it's £26,000. You were looking for this company to pay back £26,000.
That would only basically be on zero.
That's all. All you would do is break even on that. There's nothing for any stress or anything like that. That's a sorry tale. And where are you now with it?
Just waiting for the court to provide me this document, and then his 5 other current companies, and this will then be that they will then look into this Interco loan. What was that about? They haven't actually filed any documents to say what the Interco loan was for or how it was transferred. I think I've got them round a turn, but it just depends on the judge I've got on the day.
The intercompany loan, is that legal or is that an illegal thing? How does that work?
They are allowed to do it, but they need to file a document to basically explain why it's going, what it covers, and how long it's for. And they need to basically give a full detailed report on that happening. Because they've liquidized it, I think that in itself is, you can't do that to that extent. And that's something that I believe to be an ammunition point for myself. But it's now dragged out potentially for another 8 months until the next court date.
Goodness knows how you cope with that. But have you looked at these other 4 companies that he's got? Is there any money in those? What have they got? They're limited companies, obviously, and they've got sort of total share value of £1 or something, maybe, have they, or what? In other words, could he do the same thing again?
All 5 of them were only set up last year, so they are all brand new companies, and he took over directorship from the time he was taken to court by myself till now. All those 5 companies are brand new. So I believe they're trying to keep that name partially to still use that Grand Designs.
Good point. I'd be very interested to find out what Grand Designs have got to say about this, if we can contact Channel 4 and find out what they say, because I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't be their intention to showcase a company that ended up doing this kind of thing. So are these other companies that he's got, they're still working in the spray foam insulation area, are they? The same sort of thing?
They're anything from solar panels to spray foam. The new thing they're looking at is conservatories, spray foam in conservatories.
I know a little bit about this because we did try to, have somebody in to talk about this, a salesman that worked for this sort of umbrella company, if you like, that had all these different things going on. So they said, we can spray your house, we can insulate, we can do your double glazing, we can do your drive, and we can change your conservatory roof from a twin wall polycarbonate roof into a tiled roof, a lightweight tile, basically, so it makes it usable in the summer, usable in the winter. And so they were their main 5, I think, different companies that they got, but all of them promised the earth, and all of them were, like we if you sign up today, we'll give you a discount, we do this, we do that. And I was saying to them, well, look, I haven't asked for a discount. What's the discount for? Why would I don't go into people's houses and quote them for a plumbing job and say, if you hire me today, I'll give you a discount. If they push me for a discount, I might give them an answer to that, which is usually no, but I certainly wouldn't offer people a discount who hadn't asked for one and weren't expecting one. It seems to me that they're hiding behind a load of mechanisms, limited companies and all the rest of it. And, we're going to see what the court says. We don't want to jeopardise what the court says, do we? That's the important thing here, that we mustn't prejudge anything. But that's your experience anyway of it.
He's also transferring his name, and they're literally swapping up the names between the two of them. He has had a £66,000 fine and went to prison for 6 months due to harassment and fraud. So he does have previous. I don't understand how he's gone from 2017 to now and still be able to trade under that same name with the same company.
Yeah, I mean, he shouldn't be a director of it, really, should he? If he's gone to prison for fraud and harassment, you would have thought that the least that would happen is that he would no longer be fit to be a director. What would your advice be to people who are looking at having any home improvements done, not just spray foam, but any of these other things you mentioned? You got hold of it, you contacted the company, they sent the salesperson round, and no doubt they were charming and nice and very persuasive at the time, yeah?
Not as you would believe.
Oh, really?
It took 2 hours to get their payment because I was actually trying to push it back. I didn't have the money on me. I asked nicely for a week to get the funds. I asked nicely if I could have at least till the end of the weekend, and he said it was only valid for the day and he weren't leaving until at least a part payment was paid.
So it seems to me that if somebody's in your house and they're refusing to leave unless you pay them money, then that in itself should be a crime. The police should be acting to protect you on that.
Personally, I think the best protocol is to use family members, people that you are close friends and you trust, or a friend of a family member. Going to Trust a Trader and Instagram and Facebook, they should be ignored.
What you're saying is it's got to be somebody who can recommend that company, who's used them, who can say to you, these are the people to go to, I've had a good experience with them, that kind of thing. Is that what you're thinking or not?
Or a friend's friend who has been doing the job for at least 20 years.
If I do get people round, I say to them, look, I just want to make something clear to you. I am not signing anything today. You tell me what you're offering me, I'll consider it, and then you can come back or I'll contact you. But I want to make it absolutely clear that I do not ever sign anything on the day. I'm not doing that. And I tell people that on the phone when they phone me up. I say I buy nothing on the phone. People knock on the door, I say I buy nothing on the doorstep. So everything and some companies phone you up and I say, send me your details in the post. And they, oh, we don't do that. I say, well, I'm not doing business with you, And the other thing I say to them is, if somebody phones up and they said to me, hello, I'm your local energy advisor. And then I say, okay, and I ask them a question about energy. And they go, oh, well, I say, now, hang on, you told me you were an energy advisor. Now you're telling me you're just a cold caller who gets appointments for somebody who's an energy advisor. So why would I want to do business with a company? The first words that have come out of your mouth have been a lie. Why would I want to carry on now and do any more business with you? And at that point, they usually ring off. They're usually gone pretty quick. Keep us posted on this because it seems like, you've got a way to go with this and it's going to be a long drawn out thing. Have you got any insulation in your loft at the moment?
You could see that it's where it was. They've done the perimeter. You can see the old bitumen felt around the skirting areas of the property. And you can see that is old bitumen felt, which the HSC, RICS, PCA and the government all say that this open cell spray foam should never be attached to this unbreathable felt.
That's a very important distinction, because what you're talking about there is open-celled spray foam as opposed to closed-celled. And the open-cell means that moisture will migrate through it, vapour will go through it. And obviously that means it's going to end up on the cold side of the insulation underneath the bitumen felt. It can't get through the bitumen felt. The bitumen felt doesn't breathe, as they say, so it's not a breather membrane. So it's going to sit there between the warm insulation and the cold roof in that impervious layer, and it's just going to sweat to the point where you start getting dry rot issues and all the rest of it, mushrooms growing out of your tiles and so on. So most people wouldn't know the difference between a closed cell and an open cell. And they do say, I mean, we get a lot of Americans saying to us, we've been doing this in the States for years, we use a closed cell foam and it's absolutely fine. That may be the case, but in the UK, the majority of it seems to be open cell. And I think there is the problem. They tell you it breathes. I mean, that's the other thing. They tell you it breathes. So obviously if the moisture could escape on the other side of it, it wouldn't be too bad a thing, I guess, but that's not the case with you, is it? Obviously.
On my warranty pack, it says 100% breathable, and then a few lines before that, it says it's airtight.
We've actually got a video with a membrane manufacturer who tells us the difference between something that is air open and vapor permeable and something that is not vapor permeable or not air open. So it's a confusing little thing, and the terminology isn't all that clear, because like you say, you look at it and think, well, there's a contradiction here. But I think it's this thing of ventilation which doesn't allow moisture to come through, rain, but obviously allows vapor to go through. But anyway, as I say, we've got a really good technical guy who's telling us all about breather membranes and what people believe to be breather membranes. This isn't you're not a builder, you're not in the building industry, so why should you be an expert? You should be guided by people who know, really, shouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%. I'm a teacher by trade.
You're a teacher?
Yeah.
Well, you've got something to teach now then, haven't you? We don't teach young people who are going out to buy their first home how to navigate these things and make them aware of all the sharks that are swimming out there. It's not easy. A lot of people are quite ashamed of the fact that they've been ripped off and, just hide the fact, they just want to put it behind them and not tell anybody. But you're still right in the middle of it, Thomas, aren't you, really? So
I think it's important to share knowledge, because if you don't, then they're just going to get away with it.
Yeah, of course they are, yeah.
The builder down my road stated that this should be banned. This whole thing should be banned.
Yeah. It's almost like, whack-a-mole, isn't it? As soon as you stop one thing, they come up with something else. So there's always a way that they get around. And the Limited Companies Act was set up for a very good reason, because people were very reluctant to go into business and end up in debtor's prison. So they thought, okay, we've got to have a Limited Companies Act. And of course, that just gave people a perfect shield to hide behind and get up to all kinds of tricks, which is what they do. Anyway, thanks, Thomas. Thanks for sharing it. And do come back and let us know what the result of this is, what the outcome is. And I hope it's a good one for your sake.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're not sure about an offer, stop. Check the company properly. Look them up on Companies House. Read independent reviews. Talk to someone else before agreeing to anything. And if something doesn't sit right, walk away. You can also send suspicious offers to us before you commit. scams@skill-builder.uk. We're putting together practical guides and resources on our website to help people, especially older family members, to spot these tactics early. If you've had a pushy call, email, or doorstep visit, share your story. The more these things are talked about, the fewer people get caught out.